Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Anna, I'm a digital fantasy artist, and today I'll be sharing 5 tips for being consistent as a beginner artist. Firstly, I just wanted to start talking a little bit about the piece on the speed paint. It's called Never Enough, and it's a personal piece. I was actually feeling really demotivated for painting these few days because I had a routine and I just couldn't finish the paintings in time, so I was just like so sad that I fell out of my routine, which is basically the topic of this video, being consistent with art. And in this painting, I just wanted to express the feeling that we get about never being good enough as an artist. And sometimes I feel like I'm constantly trying to impress myself. And it's really sad because it always feels like I finish a painting and then I do my best, but then I just look at it and all I can see are the mistakes or things that I could have done better. But I feel like it's just normal as artists to feel like this in our paintings. And I should just move forward, and I was just happy that I could paint a personal piece that expressed the feelings that I have about not being enough, and I hope other people can relate with this piece. So without any further intros, I just wanted to start by talking a little bit about how to start being consistent in your art journey. And the first step is to ask yourself the hard questions. So before you can actually sit down and be consistent, you need to know where you're going. So it can either be a small goal or a really big goal, but it's really important to know where do you want to be in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, or maybe for short-term goals in the next 3 weeks. So ask yourself, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to be better at? What do you feel like is lacking in your art? And before you can take steps forward and follow a certain goal or routine, you need to know where you want to be in your time frame. Something that really helps me when I'm not really sure where I want to go is to give myself criticism in my own work. So just open a portfolio site or maybe your Instagram and just look at your work and really just honestly write down everything that you feel you could get better at. So this could be maybe painting hands, or it could be more environment scenes, or just a deeper rendering, but make a list of things that you feel like you need to get better at in art. If you are a beginner artist, you might feel like you just need to get better at everything. But something that I suggest is to pick something that you already enjoy and you really have a very big motive to get better at. Something that I really wanted to know how to paint was portraits. So as a beginner artist, I was really dedicated to it. So choosing something that you just have a really big passion will make the being consistent part so much easier. After you narrow down where exactly you want to go, you can start thinking about a time frame for that goal. So if it's, I don't know, for example, as a beginner artist, you want to learn how to draw hands. You won't need around 6 months to learn how to draw hands, but you could maybe make a month of only drawing hands from reference, and then 3 weeks of painting hands from your imagination, and then you could just make painting hands in different lights. You could spend a year learning how to paint hands, but it really just depends on how much time you have and where do you want to go. Do you want to finish a year knowing how to paint hands, or do you want to finish a year with, I don't know, having a really good detailed rendering of hands? You just need to figure that out before we can go to the next step. The next step would be knowing yourself and setting goals accordingly. So again, after you have a direction, you should start thinking about making a plan and a routine. That's why it's so important for consistency to have a lot of attitude when you are making a routine, so you can figure out all the possible obstacles that will get in your way of being consistent, and you can already eliminate them, so you can have an easier time with just sitting down and painting. So when you're trying to make a plan and a routine, it's not really smart for you to just really have really high expectations of yourself. So try to be realistic when planning a routine. And a lot of people I see, they just think about what they should be doing. Like, I should just be painting for 6 hours straight every day, and I should be painting even on weekends, and I need to learn all the fundamentals in 1 month. And those are not realistic goals. Being consistent, you actually need to work with yourself and your personality. So after making a list of things that you think you should get better at, make a list about where and when you work the best. So instead of fighting against yourself, take this time to know yourself. Take this time to think, when do you work the best? When do you have the time to work? As I said in the other video, lots of people have problem with being consistent because they have so many other responsibilities in their life. So you need to really be realistic about the amount of time you're going to have to paint and draw and study art. If you know you're only going to have 20 minutes per day, you need to make the most of these 20 minutes. So think about the amount of time you're going to have and think about your personality. Do you work best at night? Do you work best in the afternoons, early mornings, midday? Write that down and think about your work week. When do you feel that you are more tired? When do you get more inspired? And most importantly, do you have a clue of when you can work that you will actually sit down and work? Because it's so easy to just say, oh, Sunday I'm really inspired and I usually have a really slow day and it's going to be a great day to sit and paint. But when Sunday arrives, you don't want to do anything. You literally don't want to do anything. So it's not only about thinking when you're going to have free time. It's about thinking, when will you really dedicate yourself to sit down and work? Other things that can help you is not to think that work is just honestly tiring and just really bad. Try to think about things that move you. What are you most eager to learn? What motivates you? Maybe if you put a certain song every time that you're painting, you're going to be more motivated to keep painting. So you really need to choose certain tasks in certain hours of the day where you know you will either be properly rested and able to focus, or if you're a bit tired and you only have 20 minutes per day, at least you're doing something fun. At least you're scheduling songs while you paint, or maybe even watching a TV show while you paint. Anything to make the experience a bit more comfortable for you. Remember, we're trying to figure out a routine that works for you, your personality, and your life. You're not supposed to make things even harder for yourself. Something I really like to do as well is to watch other videos of people and their routine and how they organize their day as artists. So especially if you're a beginner artist and you don't really have a lot of experience with how a work day is organized as an artist, it's really interesting to see how other people organize their routine and how they organize their time. And it's really easy to search for these types of videos on YouTube, and you'll see that even people with part-time jobs, they find a way to have fun painting and be able to express themselves. So it really always inspires me a lot to know that even people who are really busy, they can still have fun with art. So you can as well. However, the third point that I want to talk about is to live your own journey and not compare yourself to others. There is a really huge trap in seeing how other people organize their time and how productive they are on social media that just destroys any sort of consistency you've been nurturing, because you just fall down in the spiral of everyone knows what they're doing, everyone has time for art, and I only have 10 minutes and I will never be good enough. So be really careful when exploring other people's content, because it might just make you feel bad about yourself and your reality. So just recapping the other points, after you've made a direction for yourself and created a routine, it's really just time to sit down and work. And really, you are going to try to compare yourself to others because you're trying to figure out where you should be going with your art and what results should it be bringing you. But my third point is that you need to know that this is your own journey, and the key for being consistent is to ask a certain amount of things from yourself, and not too much, because you might just get discouraged. But don't make it too easy either, because you're just going to be thinking that your results should be better than what they are actually right now. So it's really about sitting down, following your own routine, and not asking too much of yourself in one sitting. Try to do things little by little. For example, in my hand drawing example, if you are trying to practice hands, try to draw hands only in shapes, and do it for 10 minutes every day, because in my example, that's the only time that you have. And then after you've drawn the shapes, even if you think it's too easy or not a lot of results that are coming from drawing shapes, afterwards you can start adding the lines of the contour of the hand. And then you just keep putting a little bit more of difficulty every week in these 10 minutes that you have. So it's really about working small to big, because then you don't fall short on your consistency and you don't get discouraged and you still make progress. And again, if it helps, don't look at social media. Don't post your progress on social media. Focus on yourself and your journey in art. Even if you're having a hard time with only drawing shapes, be okay with that. Like, it is your journey. You might have more difficulties on things that other people don't have, and you might be better in things that other people have difficulties. So really, you gotta think about a routine and a consistency that works in the long term. And if you're trying to get results fast, and if you really just decided that you want to learn how to paint hands perfectly in 3 months, this is already going to ruin the whole consistency part, because art takes time. And honestly, figuring out a good routine for yourself and being consistent at it takes time too. So remember that things need to work a long term. So you can't just expect yourself to figure everything out in only 1 week. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that you really need to give yourself breaks. And people keep thinking that consistency is all about just speed running, and like every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. I'm like painting the best painting ever. No, actually, if it gets to the Tuesday and you've scheduled a painting session and you are tired, you need to actually think, am I just procrastinating, and should I push myself to paint right now? Or do I really need to take a break, or else I'm going to burn out? Remember to give yourself breaks. Remember to give yourself time to understand how everything works best for you. If you decided your goals in the beginning of the year and in the middle you realize that you actually don't work well in the mornings and that you don't want to learn anymore how to draw hands, you actually want to learn how to draw feet, then give yourself the opportunity to change your goals as well. Give yourself the opportunity to redo your routine. Nothing's ever too fixed. For even consistency, that it kind of implies that you're doing the same thing over and over again. Sometimes being consistent is changing your routine every once in a while to best fit your goals and your interests. So just really keep that in mind. Having said that, my fourth point is about not running away from hard things. And even sometimes if someone is really consistent and they are following their routines, sometimes they just limit themselves so much. If I make a routine for myself and I follow it for a year, maybe I'm not going to improve as much. Maybe I still need to criticize my own work and to rethink how I'm doing things. Because if my goal is to know how to paint people and I spend a year painting hands, I will obviously, hopefully get really good at painting hands, but I won't achieve my goal of painting people. So you can't keep running away from things that scare you. Even if I feel like hands can be easier, I can't just spend my whole life ignoring the whole other parts of a person. So it's really about having a routine and following it, but consistency is about challenging yourself as well and being able to realize the things that are lacking in your art and sitting down and practicing it. Something that I personally really neglect is studying. I've been painting since I was 12 and I never liked to paint still lifes or statues. I just always wanted to go to more complicated rendering practices. So sometimes consistency is just admitting that things aren't moving forward because you are not sitting down and studying the fundamentals. And fundamentals aren't something that you learn in a year and then you never look at it again. No, it's actually something that you are using in every single painting, and that's why it's always important to refresh your brain, to make you think again how you learn the fundamentals and things you can learn even deeper about the fundamentals. So whenever you have a hard time doing your routine and you realize, for example, you can't paint hands and you are really good at everything else, but then you start having difficulties with painting hands again, you need to sit down and study hands. You can't just keep neglecting the hard things, the things that you know that you're having difficulties with. And something that's really important to talk about is that you might just really lose your momentum. For example, if you start realizing that you actually need to stop painting and study, you might lose the momentum of your consistency if you need to redo your whole routine. But I want you to embrace this. I want you to know that it's better for you to redo your routine and make it more adjustable for your future plans than to keep going with a routine that is actually not making you improve as much. And my fifth and final tip is to be your own best friend. Art is really hard, and you just need to be there for yourself when you want to give up. And even in the days that you feel like you can't go with the routine that you planned and that you just can't do the 1 hour of painting that you said you were going to do on Sunday, you need to be kind to yourself. You're not going to get anywhere if you're just really being an enemy in your own head. Like, if I feel tired to do something, I can't just treat myself as if I'm a really unresponsible person and just be like, you're so lazy, you're procrastinating all the time, you're such a lazy person. You need to actually be kind to yourself and be like, I understand that you're tired today and I understand you had a rough day, but how about we sit down here and we try to paint only for 15 minutes? Even if it looks bad, at least you did something. You know, you really need to be kind to yourself and know that art is a really hard process. It's not something that you can just sit down and do it perfectly. It requires a lot of mental strength and emotional intelligence. So if you keep beating yourself up for not being good enough or not following a routine, you're just going to honestly have a really bad mental health and feel really bad about your art, and it's going to stop being something that you love. So I feel like when we talk about consistency, it is really important to touch on the point that you really gotta be your own best friend. And you just need to be kind to yourself and go through it with yourself. Like, if you made a mistake or if you made crappy art, just laugh it off. Like, just be like, oh my god, I made such a bad hand in this painting. And like, don't feel so bad about it. Know that you need to do your studies, but just laugh. Just be like, I mean, I tried my best and I just need to do more studies, but at least I did a hand. At least I sat down and I painted, you know? Laughing at your mistakes is always so relaxing for me. It just takes the edge off and the pressure that I put on myself. So it is really something that I recommend. And sometimes you can even send your drawing to your friends and be like, oh my god, look at this hand, it looks so bad. Can you help me? You know, there is no problem in admitting that you couldn't figure it out right from the bat. And honestly, having art friends is really, really nice. Having a community that doesn't judge you. But before having a community that doesn't judge you, you need to stop judging yourself. You need to be okay with you making mistakes. And honestly, if you're at this moment at the video and you still feel like you know nothing about being consistent, I'm going to give you one final tip. Make things fun. I feel like when we are learning art as a beginner artist, we just get so caught up in being good and learning the fundamentals and making realistic things and, I don't know, finding your style. But we forget that it's just supposed to be fun. It doesn't need to be such a hard routine. It doesn't need to be like you don't need to be consistency police. Like, oh my god, I didn't paint for 5 hours this week, I'm such a bad person. No. Remember why you started art in the first place. Remember why you love to paint. Remember why you wanted to start this routine in the first place, you know? When you make things fun for yourself, you remember why you love doing what you do. And everything is so much easier. If you make painting hands fun, if you put a nice song in the background, if you laugh at your mistakes, and if you just take things slow, you're going to have fun. And when you have fun is when you learn the most. So that's it. And honestly, just don't pressure yourself, especially on posting things on social media. Try to, if you want to post something on social media, especially if you're only studying, do it because you want to, and you want to share it with your friends. Don't do it because you are looking for follows and likes. Do it because it's fun to be in an art community, you know? Don't let the part of social media wear you out in art as well. Social media isn't really the topic of this video, but it can really destroy your consistency because you just feel like you need to post something and you need to make reels and you need to post on YouTube and everything. But just remember that this is supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be something you love. And it's not that deep, okay? I didn't want to say it's not that deep, but I'm going to say it's not that deep. And in the end, just really be your best friend. You you've been with yourself for so long through every single possible thing you can imagine. You've been there for yourself. So just keep being there for yourself, keep being kind to yourself, keep having fun in art and not beating up yourself so much. And this can honestly apply to any area in life. Like, if you want to be consistent and you aren't, just hug it out. Honestly, look at yourself in the mirror and be like, honestly, I am doing my best. And this is the best thing that could happen. Like, maybe your routine, your to-do list needs to just be like, do your best today. This is the best possible routine I can think of. Honest best tip I can give you is to do your best and have fun. So we're already heading towards the end of the video, and I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for watching, and I really hope this video was helpful and that inspires you to keep going as a beginner artist. I know it's hard, but I really hope I gave you some tips to inspire you to keep trying to be consistent in art and improve. And if you like my video, please subscribe and leave a like. I just started YouTube, so it would really help me. And if you guys had any doubts or if you have any video suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'm so grateful for you, and this is the final piece. I'll see you in the next video.